Number 9. Oh, yes, we've got a person. We got a winner. Let's give him a round of applause.
With some accent, but now most of you think you're from Greece, so I don't have to pretend that I have an accent. I can speak Greek English, okay? And now we can continue to
The combat system, the barrier control. So it's quite a complex system.
It's really cool. Like I learned a lot from them. I also learned a lot of this.
Okay? And now, clap your hands.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
I can, yeah. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm well. How are you?
Good. I just noticed how bad the StreamYard is doing with my green screen. I think I'm going to turn that off.
It's the glow, I think, right?
Oh, here. Actually, you know what? I didn't check on. I have a green screen. There we go. That'll look a lot better.
Cool. Nice. So hello, everyone. Welcome to this stream. This is done by CityJS. So we're a JavaScript conference, and we've got one on the 31st of March, so just about 2 weeks away. And we're joined here by Kent Dodds, which is one of our amazing speakers. So throughout this interview, we're going to be talking about Kent and his work and his upcoming talk as well on the 31st. So welcome, Kent. I saw that you was just doing a live stream. We were sort of chatting back and forth. We wasn't sure with the team whether you was coming or not, but I was just watching a bit of that. I mean, that's fine. That's fine. I mean, what was you up to there? So you was building a landing page or a sign-up page or something?
Yeah. So for Epic Web Dev, I am working on building a real-world application that we're going to use to make a bunch of workshops out of. And so, yeah, it's like pretty intense. I don't know if I've ever seen such an in-depth example before, because part of me is thinking, man, I should have just made an actual product so that I could also make money on it, because it really is pretty hardcore. But anyway, yeah, so I have been going through implementing designs that I got from a design company, and yeah, I have a bunch of work to do, and the work that I was doing this morning actually is applicable to the workshop that I'm giving at CityJS. And so basically, cool. I'm just preparing workshop material.
Nice. So at CityJS, you're going to be talking, you're bringing back progressive enhancement. That's the title of your talk. I mean, let's dive into a little bit about that and how it ties into the work you're currently doing.
Yeah. So it was about like 2.5 years ago, or I guess 3 years ago, right when COVID hit, that Ryan Florence and Michael Jackson had a bit of a shakeup for their business, because they are the full-time educators and mostly in person, and so that didn't really jive very well with the virus. So they had to pivot, and long story short, they built Remix, and I was involved just in conversation. I didn't really contribute any code, but talked a lot with Ryan, especially about that. And yeah, so the as far as the progressive enhancement piece comes in, Remix was the first time I really started caring about progressive enhancement, because before Remix, I was pretty much just doing all client-side SPA stuff, because it was just really hard to do both. I did do server-rendered stuff that would be picked up by client-side JavaScript and stuff, and it was not fun at all. Nobody was thinking about progressive enhancement in that world, because we were just trying to make it barely work. And so Remix comes around and makes it really easy to and just like the natural way to make your application capable of functioning as a baseline. So without adding additional JavaScript to the client, the baseline is a functional app, which gives us really awesome user experience, but also really great developer experience as well. And so that's what I'm going to be talking about. And we'll be doing quite a few demos and looking at some code and stuff like that.
Nice live demos, right? So you got to be prey to the demo gods in the
Yeah,
morning.
yeah. These ones, I actually originally I had this all planned out to do a lot of live coding and stuff, and I've even done it that way before. But there's just too much, and so I just recorded the demos, and so that way,
Yeah. Work
hopefully
smarter,
we
not
have,
harder, right?
yeah.
Nice. What do you mean then by progressive enhancement?
Yeah, so progressive enhancement is a concept that's been that was introduced back in 2003. This is like before we had XHR requests, right? Like, so a long time ago. The XML what? Hold on a second. What is that? XHR requests. I've lost what that acronym is short for, but anyway.
For me, anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. So those came around in like 2006. So yeah, this concept has been around for a long time, and the idea is that you want to have a baseline of an app that's functional, where the content is accessible, and we're not just talking about by assistive technologies, but like just usable by whatever technology the user is coming at you with. Back in those days, it was a lot more about like supporting all the browsers, and so like finding the least common denominator of all the features that all the browsers support. And then you can make things better by adding features based on the capabilities of the browser. That's the idea. So, and back then it was like, if the browser has support for JavaScript, then you can do this. And it has support for this CSS feature, then you can do this. Now, like, of course, we all have JavaScript. And so that's not really the reason we care about progressive enhancement anymore. There are some definite benefits to using the built-in browser capabilities from the user experience standpoint. For one, you don't have to worry about the JavaScript loading before you can actually have a functional app. Like, the user can start doing things with your app before the JavaScript finishes loading. So that's cool. But the real benefit actually comes in the developer experience, because the mental model that you're forced into when you focus so much on progressive enhancement is really, really great. It makes it much easier to build your application when you're thinking about your application in the context of, I don't have JavaScript. And then, of course, you can layer in additional nice things that the user can offer, or that you can offer the user on top of that. But and Remix makes that really easy. But starting from a functional app and then just layering that stuff on is quite nice.
So you talk about like the support in browsers, where some browser supports this bit of CSS and this bit of JavaScript. I mean, is that still a big thing in the front end world now, or are browsers more synchronized in their support of particular features?
Yeah. So early in my career, it was a lot more like, oh yeah, IE doesn't do this and Firefox doesn't do that and whatever. Now, you definitely still have that. Safari right now is the big culprit for a lot of the problems that we face in lack of support for stuff. But we have less of a problem with this now, in part because IE doesn't exist anymore. And Microsoft Edge is built on Chromium. And so now you really only have to worry about Safari, Firefox, and Chromium. And so that does simplify things a lot. On top of that, like, all these browser vendors have just done an enormous amount of work to standardize and to stay on or stay on the latest features of the web. So that has been awesome. But yeah, you do still have to consider things like at least open your app in these browsers to make sure that things are working. I think the areas where I've run into the most issues are revolve around CSS. Actually, just the way that things are rendered ends up being a little different in different browsers, and that's probably just because of my lack of experience in that world. I pretty much just am like, okay, here's the design and here's my Tailwind classes, and I'll throw those around and stuff. But sometimes things don't quite get rendered the same. And
Do you still find that with Tailwind as well? Using Tailwind as the discrepancies in how things are displayed in the browser?
Yeah, recently I had an issue where like I can't remember exactly what it was, but yeah, I have run into some issues. Actually, one not with Tailwind, but I was trying to add a star field to the app that I'm building for Epic Web. It's called Rocket Rental. It's where you can go rent rockets. It's like Airbnb for rockets. It's awesome.
Cool.
So
Nice. Yeah.
it's realistic enough to be able to see like how to build a web app in a realistic way, but unrealistic enough that people won't think it's a real app. So because you're not renting rockets from random people on the internet yet. But anyway, so there's for the background, I have a star field and the stars are flickering. And to do that, I just have an SVG with like 200 little circles that like pulse. And so it's pretty cool. What I wanted to do was use that SVG as a background image. And so I have my server, and also I want the stars to be random in random spots and different every time. And so like you refresh the page and now they're somewhere else. And so I have this route on my server that generates that star field SVG thing and sends it up. And you can use an SVG as a background image in all of these browsers. But it turns out that if you try to do any sort of styling of animation, so like the twinkling that the stars were doing, Firefox does not like that one bit. It is very, very slow, and Safari won't even do it. So yeah, you do run it, and it probably wasn't super optimal for Chrome either. But so you do run into these browser inconsistencies occasionally, but not as much as when I was doing web stuff earlier.
So you talk a lot about testing in your career. I've seen a lot of testing. And how do you approach testing different browsers? You know, you say like there's not support for something in Safari. How do you test that in development? And then also how do you test that before deploying your front-end application?
Yeah. So I as far as like testing browsers, I'm going to be using a tool like either Playwright or Cypress. Cypress is now capable of testing multiple browsers. For a long time, Cypress wasn't. And I kind of just was like, yeah, that's fine. I didn't really, and I still actually don't feel like it's that important because, like I said, most of the time, like almost everything is going to be consistent across these browsers. So as long as you just open it once and see, oh, my star field isn't working in this browser, I guess I got to change that. Then and I think, I don't know, I kind of have built an intuition for understanding what types of things are going to be different. Like your margin and padding, it's going to be the same for all of them. Border, that's going to be the same. But there are some things that are just a little different, like animating an SVG that's a background image that I kind of figured, yeah, that might be different. It may not work in the other browsers. So I personally feel like it's a relatively significant investment to try and figure out how to get these browsers tested in each one of, or your tests running in each one of these browsers, and not necessarily a huge benefit. One thing that you could do is just run your tests in those browsers occasionally, and if that was really that important to you. But I certainly don't think that it's that important to run your entire test suite across all the browsers for every commit that you push to master
It's
engine
quite
or
expensive
main.
doing that, right?
Yeah.
It's going to take a long time.
Yeah.
So going on to yourself, I mean, I had a look through your website, and right at the top, you say that you're helping people make the world a better place through quality software. So let's dive into a little bit about that. What do you think you've done in terms of achieving that goal? And give us some examples of your career and what you've been up to.
Yeah. So I have been working on that for a long time, and I do try. And in general, I like some specific things I can think of, or like what I mean when I say that is, I think almost all of us are trying to make the world better for at least ourselves, and the people that we love, and that's my goal as well. And we find just the best way that we can accomplish that, whether that be by getting a really nice paying job so we can support our family, or doing service in the community or whatever. And so the way that I do that is by teaching other people how to make quality software so that they can go and use that knowledge somewhere in their corner of the world and make their corner better, however, whatever that means for them. Hopefully our goals are not at odds. And we're both making the world better for each other as well. But anyway, as far as like finding success in that, so I have heard from hundreds of people that they've gotten either pay raises or their first job, or promotions that typically come with pay raises at their work from the things that they've learned from my material. That's really rewarding, and I'm really happy that I've been able to have that kind of an impact on people. And I also, thanks to the funding that people give me by paying for my courses, I'm able to create a lot of stuff for free, because I know that not everybody has a boss that can pay for a course, or a nest egg where they can use to invest in themselves like that. And so I do a lot of free stuff by way of like making all of my material open source. So you can go through all of Epic React.dev material. You can look at all the testingjavascript.com material, and Epic Web will be the same. Right now, I'm live streaming almost every minute of my working day for the last several months in building this rocket rental app. There's maybe been like a half hour, maybe an hour of work that I have not live streamed, of the hundreds of hours now that I've put into building this app. And so, and that's all free on YouTube. So I think that I'm just really grateful for the community that has enabled me to be able to build this type of free resource for people. I have almost 200 blog posts on my blog, and podcasts and stuff like that. I do office hours every Friday, and it's awesome that I can have that kind of success and turn it around and do a lot of stuff for free as well.
How did you get into teaching? What was your first thing? Did you produce a blog first of all, or a talk, or what was the first steps?
Yeah. So I have been into teaching forever. Like in my church, we speak in front of our peers, and so like getting up and talking about the things that I know or believe or whatever has just been a big part of me. I spent 2 years as a teacher for my church as well. So like teaching has just always been a big thing for me. My first technical teaching thing was I guess it was the first meetup I went to. I saw that they were looking for somebody to speak. I didn't know at that time that meetups are always looking for somebody to speak. I was just like, oh wow, lucky me, there's happens to be a slot open. So I volunteered to speak at that. And then I also received a training from a coworker on AngularJS, and I asked him if I could use his material to teach my classmates, and he said yes. His name's Dave Geddes. He's awesome. Works at Shopify now. He built Mastery Games, and he's like Flexbox Zombies, Grid Critters, Service Workies. Yeah, he's awesome. Anyway, so I used his material to teach my classmates, and I actually got Firebase to sponsor us pizza and everything. Like, it was fun. So even when I was still in school, I was teaching. And my first, as soon as I graduated, I gave a talk at egghead.io, or at a meetup, and egghead.io reached out to me and said, hey, could you turn that talk into a course? And then the rest is history. I started teaching and getting paid for it. And then eventually started making more on my side hustle than I was at my full-time job. So I went full-time teacher.
Wow. What would you say to those that have knowledge to share, but they don't know how to share it.
Yeah. So sharing knowledge is a skill just like anything else. And the more time you spend practicing, the better that you're going to get. And so I have forced myself into a lot of situations where I had to share knowledge. So that whether that be like a talk at your to your coworkers at like a brown bag, everybody brings their lunch meeting, or a meetup or a conference or anything else. And so even like the workshop that I'm giving at CityJS, it's not ready yet. And so like I'm forcing myself to get this material ready. And to make sure that the CityJS version is really, really good, I actually also scheduled a remote version of this workshop that I'm going to be giving next week. So it has to be ready by next week. And so it will for sure be ready by CityJS. But yeah, you just kind of, I put myself in situations where I have to teach. And that forces me to get good at it. And so, yeah, if you have knowledge that you want to share, then force yourself into a situation where you have to share it. And actually, there were some talks. My first international talk was a topic that I knew was possible, but I had never done before. And so by just like volunteering to teach that, I had to learn how to do it. And so that's actually my big secret for learning stuff, is by forcing yourself to teach it.
Okay, so it sounds like you work quite well under pressure then.
I guess so. I do
Yeah.
feel kind of stressed right now, to be honest. But
Yeah.
I get a lot done when I'm under the gun. I don't typically like to give myself deadlines for delivering courses and stuff. But when it's like a commitment of like, hey, you're going to be here and I'm going to be here and I'm going to be ready with this thing. Yeah, I do kind of like that.
What would you say is one of your most proudest pieces of content that you've published online, or course or blog or talk?
Yeah, definitely. So far, it's Epic React. That thing is huge and has helped tens of thousands of people to get better at React. And I've just so many emails and things from people saying thank you. I learned React from you, and I got my first job, or I got a pay raise, or whatever from Epic React. That I spent hundreds and hundreds of hours preparing that. That material and delivering it. All of those workshops I delivered several times to make sure that I was really ready to hit the record button on those. And so, yeah, like I think I feel most pleased with the things that I invest a lot of time and energy into, and then they pay off really well in helping people accomplish their goals.
So you've got Epic React, which is epicreact.dev, but then you've also got testing JavaScript as well. So I mean, obviously, it's on the tin. It kind of says what it does, but could you dive into testing JavaScript as well?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so testing JavaScript was my first independent course that wasn't part of either Front End Masters or Egghead.io, where I came to Egghead and I said, hey, I've got like 6 courses that I could put together, based on this workshop that I've got, or these 2 workshops that I've got. And they said, hey, that sounds awesome. We're thinking about doing this thing where you do all of those courses just on a separate platform. And I said, that sounds interesting. And so I was still working at PayPal at the time, and I would just do this in the evenings. And it went super, super well. So the content itself, we start from the only assumptions that I make about your knowledge is that you know how to write JavaScript, and that's it. Everything else we build from scratch. So the first module, we build Jest, the testing framework, just like a really simple version of it. But I think that starting from building the abstraction that you're going to use, even in a simple way, kind of helps you like realize how non-magical it is. And so we basically build Jest in really just a few minutes. But like a lot of people see that first workshop or that first module, and they're just like blown away by how much they learn in just a few minutes. We do the same thing with Jest mocking capabilities, which is also like a really common area where people get confused. And we also do the assertion libraries and stuff like that too. And so we're just really trying to demystify testing at a fundamental level. And then we get into the UI portion of this. So we have end-to-end testing with Cypress. We have integration testing with Jest and React testing library, which I created actually because I was teaching a workshop, and the de facto standard for testing React was Enzyme, and I was very displeased with it. And so I decided to build my own. And then 2 weeks later, I taught it to a workshop of 60 people. And I was like, I hope this library works. Like, I hope people end up using this thing. That's where the testing library came from. Yeah, and then we've got another module there because I didn't want this to be testing React.com. I wanted testing JavaScript. And so we talk about, we have one module that shows here is a simple component in React, and here it is in Preact, and here it is in Angular, and here it is in jQuery and Backbone, and like just a bunch of different, Svelte, different libraries. UI libraries, and show that the tests are no different. Regardless of how you get that DOM onto the page, the test looks exactly the same. And so that was just like, I know that my main module about testing UI is all about React, but you can apply this to anything. And then, of course, the end-to-end testing doesn't care about React either. And then the last one that I've got, if I'm remembering them all, we also have one on static testing, so like setting up ESLint and TypeScript and Prettier and stuff like that. And then the last module is testing Node, so backend applications as well. And that one's actually special because when I first released testing JavaScript, I think in 2018 or something like that, the next year I did an update, and I decided to include a new workshop. And this one I actually did, rather than a module where it's just videos that you watch, we actually have exercises that you work through. And that was just kind of testing out the waters for what eventually became the format for Epic React. And so testing Node in testingjavascript.com has specific exercises. You're supposed to be hands on the keyboard and everything. And then Epic React is 100% exercises, and your hands are on the keyboard and stuff. So that's testing JavaScript.
So there's also testing Node, did you say? There's testing JavaScript and testing Node.com.
Well, so no, it's all on testingjavascript.com.
Okay.
And so there's just a workshop on there for testing Node. Nice.
So Ken, from an outsider's perspective, you've spent most of your career on the front end. I mean, I've seen you in like the React community, the Remix community. Obviously, you've got Epic React.dev. Do you do any Node work or any backend work at all in the JavaScript space?
Yeah, definitely. So Epic Web is the goal is to help people become full stack developers because the tools that we have now make that really practical. So it used to be that you had to either specialize in one or the other, but if you tried to do both, then you could only get so far, and it was just really difficult to build really awesome experiences doing both because they're completely different languages or different frameworks, completely different experience. But now with not only Remix, but like most frameworks are adopting what I'm calling the PESPA architecture, which is progressively enhanced single page apps. It's actually a lot more practical to be a full stack engineer. And so with that, I am doing a lot more full stack. Actually, I say that Remix tricked me into becoming a full stack engineer because I ended up doing a lot more with databases than I'd ever done before. And I do a lot more with deployment and stuff like that. And also our tools have gotten way better. So you don't actually have to get too deep into deployment to still be a full stack engineer. We've got just some awesome infrastructure tools. So anyway, Epic Web will 100% be a full stack resource. There, we're going to talk about data modeling. Like my initial launch of Epic Web, I'm hoping will happen this summer, or early fall, and it will have a workshop for data modeling. It will have I've already actually recorded a course on deploying a node server to fly.io with distributed SQLite, and so definitely I definitely care most about the front end piece, like what the user is actually going to be using, but at the same time, like to complete that picture, you do have to have a backend piece of that.
Cool, nice. So let's dive into a little bit about more yourself. I mean, I see on your website you've got lots of koalas. So does that mean you like koalas?
Yeah.
Or you have a
I've
pet
got a koala
or...
sitting on my desk right here.
Nice. Awesome.
Yeah.
And you also do a lot of sport, right? I mean, I think I saw on your Twitter you was snowboarding last week, or
Yes.
how's that? Do you do that often?
Yeah. So for myself, to explain the koala, I was writing up a workshop about testing, and I decided I wanted to make it self-paced so that people could go through it by themselves without me being there. And so that required me like writing everything that I would say in the workshop. And then occasionally there would be spots where it's like, okay, here's an explanation, and then here's something that you're supposed to do, and now here's an explanation of what we just did, or stuff like that. And I realized if people already had some experience, they would like probably scan through stuff and skip things, and they might accidentally skip an important step that they need to do. And so I stuck an emoji right there to say, all right, here's something you're actually supposed to do now. I used a tiger emoji. I called him Terry the Tiger. And that worked out great. And then I started actually putting those comments in the exercise files themselves, like as code comments. And for some reason, I switched to a koala. I don't know why. I called him Cody the Koala. And yeah, that stuck. So that's where the koala came from. If you go through Epic React, you'll see Cody everywhere. The testing node applications module on testing JavaScript also has Cody everywhere. And so, yeah, when I did my site rebuild with Remix, I had an illustrator put together some illustrations of Cody the Koala, and he's awesome. You can actually in fact, I'm wearing my Cody the Koala shirt right now.
Nice.
But yeah, you can get shirts and everything. It's awesome. So as far as myself, yeah, I really love snowboarding. I've been snowboarding all winter. It's been an amazing winter in Utah for snowboarding. I even went to Austria for Agent Conf, and there was a ski day there. That was amazing. And then I also ride a one wheel. I really, really enjoy that in the summertime. That's like my summertime snowboarding, and snowboarding is my wintertime one wheeling. It's kind of the idea there.
What do you mean by one wheeling?
Yeah,
What's
so a one wheel is like a skateboard, except you have like a go-kart sized wheel between your legs, and it's electric powered. And it just goes the direction that you lean. So you don't have like a controller or anything. It's just, you're just standing on it and balancing. It's awesome.
So does that mean it's quite similar to snowboarding in like the
Yeah,
balance
it feels very much like snowboarding. Yeah, you don't go quite as fast. Like on snowboard, I can get going over 40 miles an hour. I'm not sure how that converts to kilometers, folks. Sorry, but on a one wheel, I have never gone more than 28 miles an hour, and that was way too fast. I'll never go that fast again. That was crazy. So normally I'm around 20 miles an hour on a one wheel, but it's still super fast and super fun.
Are you going to be bringing that one wheel to London?
You know, I would love to. I do bring my one. So I've got a one wheel that can go really, really far. It's really powerful. That's too powerful to bring on the plane. They won't let me bring that. So I actually bought a second one that's a smaller one that I can bring on the plane. And yes, I do bring it with me to conferences, but only domestic, because there's always the chance that the agent at the security will say, no, you can't bring this on. And like, I don't have any recourse. I can show them all the rules and everything, but they get to decide. And
whatever they say, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So like, my plan there is just to ship it home in a box if that ever happens. And that would be very expensive if it was international. So it's just not worth it. I would love to, but yeah, if anybody in London has one, I'd love to ride it a little bit.
I don't see them around that often in London, but I'm sure there's got to be a few, right?
I think the part of the problem is that the company that sells them is in California. And so it's just really expensive to get them shipped all over the place.
Yeah. So what are you looking forward to being in London? I mean, how many days are you here for the conference, and you want to see anything, or?
Oh yeah. Actually, so I've been to London. This will be only the third time. I feel like I've been a lot, but yeah, I think this is just my third time. And last time, I remember walking by, or maybe it was the time before, I remember walking by the Cursed Child, the Harry Potter theater there. And I was like, oh my gosh, I got to go see that in London. Like, that'd be perfect. And so I actually this time scheduled an extra day so I can go, because it's a 2-part play. Each part is 3 hours. So you're in there for 6 hours.
A long time.
Yeah. So I took an entire extra day so that I could go see that. I'm just sitting by myself, like watching this Harry Potter play. It'll be fun. I'm excited about it. And then, yeah, the other stuff, I'm like, I have taken a couple tours around London before, just like on my own, points of interest, but also Ruben. Oh, what is his last name? Shoot, now I feel bad. Ruben Casas. He is, big name in the JavaScript ecosystem there in London. He is awesome. And one of my trips to London, he actually took me on a tour. He used to be a tour guide, like in college, to pay for stuff. And so he took me on a little tour of London, and that was awesome. So yeah, I really enjoy London. I'm looking forward to being back.
We've got quite a lot of the community come in. I mean, are you looking forward to meeting anyone? Is there anyone specific you've never met before in the community that you want to see?
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to remember who I have actually met and who I haven't yet, because like I feel like I know them or that like I've met them before in person, but I actually just know them well online. But I'm looking through the list in here. I haven't seen Christian and Nwimba for quite a while, so I'm looking forward to seeing Christian again. I actually was just with Daniel Rowe at AgentConf recently. Roy Dirks and I think we were both at Modern Front Ends in November. So it'll be good to see him again. I haven't seen Kyle Simpson in a long time. Yeah, gosh, I think it's at least been 5 years. So it'll be really good to see Kyle again. There are too many to name, like Zach Jackson. I don't know if I've met Zach Jackson in person. I think I have, but I'm not sure. And Gift, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing her again. Mike, yeah, I know a lot of these people. Like I said, too many to name, but I'm looking forward to seeing all of them.
Cool. Yeah. So we've got a little bit of time left, and I was curious about what got you into software engineering in the first place.
Oh yeah. So the story goes, my friend, when we were teenagers, was building a game, and I wanted him to teach me how to code. And so he sat me down and said, "Okay, Kent, here's what a number is." He was telling me the data types. I was like, "Great, I can do numbers." And then here's what a Boolean is. Okay, I guess that makes sense. And then here's what a string is. And I was super lost at the string concept. I just could not get it. I didn't understand at all what that meant. And so I said, "Okay, you build the game and I'll go into marketing or something." And of course, that never really happened. But when I got into college, I knew I wanted to do something with computers. I just really enjoyed spending time on the computer, not just playing video games, but like doing things with the computer was just really fun. And so I decided to go into electrical engineering, and I thought, if I understand computers at that level, I can do anything. And I did take 2 programming classes there, but and I did fine as far as like the grades I got and everything. But yeah, I just didn't really enjoy it that much. I couldn't see the practical application. So then I went on a 2-year mission for my church and came back. And when I got back, I wanted to get back into that, but turns out to be an engineer, you had to be really good at math, and I super was not. And so man, it's really frustrating. I've poured so much time and energy into getting good at math, and I'm just not. But anyway, I bounced around a little bit, ended up in accounting. I'm so glad that didn't happen. But when I was in the accounting school, I had to take information systems. And that was when I started to realize, oh, okay, so like I can do computers, but I don't have to do this programming stuff as much. Like I can do like simple programming stuff, maybe that's like really practical. It's like I have an objective, a business objective I'm trying to accomplish. So I got a job doing some really boring tasks on a computer. I was ripping DVDs and uploading them to YouTube, and downloading videos, uploading them to YouTube, stuff like that. And so I wrote a program to automate that because I was in some more programming classes in information systems. And the more and more time I spent actually doing practical things with writing software, the more I enjoyed it. Yeah, there were a couple other key points, because even at that time, I wasn't convinced I wanted to be a programmer. But eventually I became convinced that programming was what I wanted to do with my life. And here I am.
So you do a lot of DevRel and speaking and blogging and courses, of course. Would you say that you prefer that over hands-on engineering, or do you have like a balance of the two, or what's the direction you want to keep on going forward in?
So I spend a ton of time doing hands-on engineering. My website is unlike any other developer portfolio site that you could imagine. Like
You can log
so
into it, right? I logged in yesterday, I believe. Yeah.
yep. So
Yeah.
there's user
Yeah.
accounts. You can choose a team, and I record all of the blog posts that you read, and those count as points for your team and stuff. I have a podcast that you can be a guest on. So you just jump in, you record a question or a conversation topic, and I respond, and that turns into a podcast episode. That's called the Call Kent podcast. Yeah, just like tons and tons of. I have done a lot of work to make it really fast. So yeah, lots of like engineering stuff that you would typically do. And then this Rocket Rental app is a pretty awesome application. So I don't ever want to stop getting really deep into the code. As far as the DevRel stuff or that type of work, I really enjoy that too. I don't ever want to stop teaching. I feel like I can magnify the impact of the value I create by teaching people how to do what I do. And so, yeah, I'm going to keep my foot in both worlds for this foreseeable future. I do really enjoy being on my own and being able to decide everything that I do. And so I don't expect that I will ever work as a product engineer again. But who knows? Like maybe I'll come up with something that would be fun to do with other people. So we'll see.
Cool, nice. So I'm going to leave you with one last question before we end today, and that is there's a lot of aspiring developers that will be coming to CityJS and watching this stream. What do you have to give to them? You know, what skills and what qualities do they need to succeed in this field?
You know, I would say actually this is something my father-in-law says when especially when my wife was growing up. He would ask her, Brooke, is it more important to be a hard worker or to be smart? And it's more important to be a hard worker. A smart person that doesn't work hard is not worth much. And then he'd say, is it more important to be a hard worker or to be nice? And the answer is it's more important to be nice, because you can work as hard as you can imagine. And if you're not a nice person, nobody's going to want to work hard with you. And so like all of those things are helpful and important. And I think that being smart is something that you can develop, you know, through study and everything. So each one of these things is something that you can, is a skill that you can acquire. But I think that the most important thing for everybody to do is to be nice. And I'm not always perfect at that, and I'm always trying to improve that. But yeah, if you're trying to get into this industry, I hope that you work hard. I hope that you study and learn as much as you can and develop the smarts to be able to do this. But I mostly hope that you're a nice person, because we have enough people who are struggling to be nice already. And so like develop that skill, please. And you know, also have empathy for other people as they're trying to develop that skill themselves. But yeah, that's probably the biggest thing that I can leave you with.
So it's about being human.
Yeah, like be a human and treat other people like they're human as well.
Nice. I guess we're talking to the computers, right? We aren't the computers ourselves.
That's right. Yeah. Also,
Yeah.
be nice to the computers just in case.
You don't want to be bashing the keyboard every night, right?
Yeah.
Fixing bugs. Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you very much, Ken. So, guys, we have the conference on the 31st of this month. So it's 2 weeks away. Ken is going to be doing a talk, which is bringing back progressive enhancement, and you can find the tickets at cityjsconf.org. Thanks for your time, Ken.
Yeah, thank you. And I hope to see people there, and as well as the workshop. I'm working on it right now, and it's going to be awesome.
The workshop. Yeah. Cool. Thank you very much. Take care,
you.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.